In a peaceful village, surrounded by lush green forests and towering mountains, there lived a boy named Arjun. He was intelligent and full of energy, but he had one flaw. He talked too much. Arjun spoke without thinking, interrupted people often, and always wanted to prove himself right in every conversation. His words would flow like an unstoppable river, sometimes hurting others, sometimes making him appear arrogant, but mostly filling the air with unnecessary noise. His father, a wise and patient man, noticed this habit and decided that it was time Arjun learned the true value of silence. One day, his father took him to an old monastery at the edge of the village, where a revered monk named Guru Prakash lived. The monk was known for his wisdom and deep understanding of life. As Arjun and his father arrived, they saw the monk sitting under a giant banyan tree, meditating with a serene expression. When his father explained Arjun's problem, the monk opened his eyes, looked at the boy, and smiled gently. "Come with me," the monk said. Curious, but slightly nervous, Arjun followed the monk as they walked towards a beautiful, still lake near the monastery. The water was so clear that the sky and trees reflected perfectly on its surface. The monk picked up a small stone and threw it into the lake. Ripples spread across the water, disturbing its calmness. "What do you see?" the monk asked. Arjun looked at the water and said, "The surface is disturbed. My reflection is unclear." The monk nodded and said, "This is what happens when we speak too much or speak without thought. Words are like stones thrown into the lake of life. They create ripples, disturbing the peace, distorting reality, and sometimes even causing unnecessary harm." Arjun listened carefully, but he was still unsure. The monk could sense his confusion and decided to give him a challenge. "For the next 7 days, you must remain silent," the monk said. "Observe everything around you. Listen carefully, and speak only when absolutely necessary." Arjun was taken aback. 7 days without speaking? It seemed impossible, but he accepted the challenge. The first day was extremely difficult. He wanted to respond when people spoke to him, argue when he disagreed, and express his thoughts aloud, but he forced himself to remain silent. By the 3rd day, he started noticing how people spoke unnecessarily. Many conversations were filled with complaints, gossip, or arguments that led nowhere. By the 5th day, something incredible happened. Since he wasn't speaking, he was listening more, understanding better, and thinking deeply. He noticed the chirping of birds he had never paid attention to before, the rustling of leaves, the sound of his own breathing. He realized how peaceful the world could be when one was truly present in the moment. On the 7th day, Arjun returned to the monk, his heart and mind transformed. "Master," he said with a newfound calmness in his voice, "I have learned that silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of understanding. When we speak less, we observe more, we listen better, and we gain clarity. I feel more peaceful, more in control, and more powerful than ever before." The monk smiled and said, "True wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. The most powerful leaders, the most successful people, and the wisest minds in history have all understood this truth. Silence allows the mind to settle, just like this lake, and when the water is still, the reflection is clear." From that day on, Arjun was a changed person. He no longer spoke without thought. He had learned the true power of silence, not as a sign of weakness, but as a tool for weakness, self-control, and inner peace. Over time, he became a successful and respected man, known for his thoughtful words and calm presence. And whenever he found himself in moments of uncertainty, he would remember the lesson of the still lake, the power of silence.